Under the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the hardly hear. Raising voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. Enthralled field, ready or die band.
Back. Good evening once again here as we return for the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here. Joshua Wilson, Christopher Like here. Coming up tonight, we will have two fine guests from the Sunshine State Athletic Association with Gage Brown, Direct Football Administrator, and Zachary Shank, the Director of Athletic Operations for the Sunshine State Athletic Association. And the SSAA, Chris, has been growing here over the last few years, and I'm glad to have these two guys on to be able to talk about the growth of the SSAA. There's definitely a lot of teams in North Central Florida that are a part of not just the 11-man side of it, but the Atlantic League, and also the 8-man side has grown a little bit too for teams, especially in North Central Florida. So it'll be good to be able to talk to these two guys and be able to learn more. I know there's some things that are changing this year in terms of what the football playoff brackets are going to be like in the SSAA, and I think it's for the good because it's going to be fun and it's going to add actually an extra week to their playoffs. So they'll be crowning their state champions the weekend before Thanksgiving, and I believe again I want to say they're at the Villages again this year, so for their state championships, so that'll be very exciting to see that. So again, that's the weekend before Thanksgiving. But with all of that said here, Chris, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Yeah, looking forward to the weekend and looking forward to football season getting up and rolling again.
No, absolutely. And I'm already seeing some comments here. I don't know why they're not showing in the live chat here in terms from the X side. So I may have to go into and see what the comments are doing there on that side. But we do have some couple of comments here that we'll get to here later on with our fan comments and all of that here. But with that said, let's go ahead and launch here into the Blitz Lines here as we talk about what's in the news, what's going on, top kickoff classics here as part of our Blitz Lines here to start. And we'll talk about the SSA Week 0 as some of the regional teams get underway here this week here. But Chris, first, some of the top kickoff classes to watch in the region. Trinity Catholic at Dunellen. I pulled this one out because obviously the new head coach at Dunellen, J.B. Bynum, was an assistant at Trinity Catholic this past year. He was also the girls' head flag football coach there. But he's a Dunellen alum. Head back to Dunellen. Trinity Catholic got Clint Hart going in there as the head coach, and I'm interested to see because Trinity Catholic had some struggles last year, and that was coming off after being in the state championship game in the last 2 years in 1S before everything switched back in the FHA back to the typical standard classification system. So, I'm interested to see what the Celtics do and the Tigers do because each one has their own path in terms of getting to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, both programs have their own challenges. Trinity Catholic trying to get back to that, trying to get used to the new classifications again after they quit the Metro Suburban and which they ruled at. So
absolutely, and everything. No, absolutely. With all that said here, Chris, we're looking at that. I really think, with Trinity Catholic, I think it's a matter of they were able to keep some of the guys there. They didn't deflect out of there when John Brantley, stepped down, and then obviously now is over at Ocala Forest, now his alma mater. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens there, but be interesting to see how the result comes out on Friday night here. Another one, and this one I most likely will be at on Thursday night, is Spruce Creek versus Buchholz at Citizens Field. I'm really interested in seeing how this game goes. Buchholz 4 straight trips to the state semifinals, and they have knocked on the door each and every year. Should have been in the 6A game, in my opinion, last year. We talked about that last night, with Osceola. How did Osceola get there versus Buchholz? But it's a matter of hey, the football games are won and lost on the field. We know that. If we could predict it on paper, we could have computers predict everything. But at the end of the day, it's does the coach have the right game plan? But I'm interested to see how Buchholz goes, Spruce Creek as well, because they're going to be a potential favorite in their district to win their district in 7A, District 2, and Buchholz in 6A, District 3. Mm-hmm. So what are you thinking here on this?
Yeah, Buchholz, you want to play the what if game if they got in that state championship game and how the matchup would have fared, but who knows? And then Spruce Creek, a program on the rise. So interesting matchup there.
No, absolutely. And as we roll along here in our Blitz Lines, looking at more of the top kickoff classics in North Central Florida here this week, Bradford at Cocoa. I know this is not necessarily the game being played in the region, but Bradford at Cocoa, these two teams played in the 2S game just less than 2 years removed. These two teams, I'm glad to see this. I wish it was actually a regular season game and not a kickoff classic, but we will take it nonetheless for these two teams to go at it. And Cocoa, this might be a potential chance. Hey, could this be a playoff preview? Because they're both in the same region. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, you wonder. It's going to be a measuring stick more for Bradford than it is for Cocoa. So.
I'm just curious to see where Jamie Rogers leads this team. And obviously, they got some guys back here once again. But Bradford, this will be, again, it's a playoff preview in that 2A Region 2 bracket here with this kickoff classic. But the biggest one of all the games in North Central Florida this week, and in terms of the kickoff classics, I should say here, is this one that'll be at Booster Stadium in Ocala. That is Miami Central versus Vanguard. When you get a team, you get one of the top teams in Miami-Dade County to come to you instead of you going to them, you've got it made, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Miami Central, like we talked about last night, sort of on that revenge tour from last year after being denied entry into the playoffs, and Vanguard, they were right on the cusp of being in that state title picture.
No, absolutely, and of course, there's the Vanguard has entered the chat here, so there you go. So definitely appreciate that here with Vanguard entering the chat here tonight. But then last but not least, as we get through our Blitz Lines here, as we talk about it, and of course you see it here on our ticker here. You'll see that we not only have the kickoff classics, we have all the SSA regular season games that'll be this week as well for week 0 here. But SSA kicking off the season this week. And some of the teams that are, especially in this region, that are we're gonna watch. Keep an eye on, especially Bell and Ocala. Bell had a really, really solid season this last year. Expected to probably be really, really good again this year. In the SSA Atlantic League. Bronson will be at Old Plank Christian. We'll talk about that one. Bronson still trying to figure out a way to be able to get things rolling here. And that's we'll be interested to see what Coach Holmes does in his second year. Got to finally get forced for his first full off season with the Eagles. Kind of came in late last summer, kind of had to get going late. And, when you get kind of thrown into the fire like that real quick, it kind of, you don't get everything in place. But I'm rooting for Bronson to win some games this year, especially after going 0-10 last year. I'm hoping that I go for the underdogs. I'd like to see the underdogs go for it.
Always good to see the underdog try to pull something off.
No, absolutely. I agree on that one. And then Hardy at Lake Weir. Hardy is entering the SSA Atlantic League this year, and they're going to be at Lake Weir to open up their season. And I know our guy Emery Smith, who is a big Hardy Wildcat fan, will definitely be cheering on his to get his Hardy Wildcats against the Lake Weir Hurricanes. And those are some games that we're going to talk about in the Pick Six. But St. Francis Catholic, they moved down from the 11-man league to 8-man. We'll be interested to see how that goes there. Obviously, they got a neighbor in Countryside Christian who are just right around the block. They could literally throw a stone or a football over to between both schools. That's how close they are there on Northwest 39th Avenue in Gainesville. So those two schools, they'll go at it later in the season, but they'll also have Cornerstone Academy as well to play, but they'll be in that first Coast Division in the 8-man side of for the SSAA. One note, obviously, where some people may ask, okay, what happened to Riverside Christian? Well, the 8-man program, the football team has folded up shop there. The head coach is now that was there. Stephen Hall, he's now over at Dixie County coaching the Bears there. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes there. But it'll be interesting to see how many teams can come from North Central Florida this year, Chris, in terms of not only in the SSAA, in terms of football, how they can emerge out. Plus, also, in the FHA side, especially with the number of teams that have played in the state championships go make deep playoff runs in North Central Florida. And at the end of the day, my man Dwight Thomas from Catapult Sports, he said, and when we were at the media day, it's like when you look at the number of programs that have won state titles here, just all time, it really, you start to do that research and deep dive, it really is impressive. We got about a minute left.
Yep. A lot of quality programs in North Central Florida for the SSAA. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these programs like Ocala and Oak Plank get rolling over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and Bronson, I'll be interested to see how Bronson goes. And then Lake Weir had about, I want to say they were about 6-4 last year, or 6-3. They didn't make the SSA. They make the Atlantic League, the main bracket, but honestly, that some people thought that Lake Weir got kind of maybe left out of that situation. But really, at the end of the day, strength of schedule. And I say this, and we talk about this every time. Strength of schedule matters, and that is the biggest thing right there. And Ellis Hall, Columbia High is playing Oakley for their kickoff classic. I will answer that question as you see that in the ticker come along here. But we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. Then we're going to get our guys on for the interview. Gage Brown, Shank from the Sunshine State Athletic Association. We'll be right back here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz right here in about 2 minutes.
BoxOut gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
And he's in the end zone for the touchdown. Touchdown.
Juggled and caught.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, welcome back here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here as we go into our interview with Gage Brown and Zachary Shank of the Sunshine State Athletic Association, and we appreciate them being able to take a few minutes of their time. I know it's a busy time of year for them as they get ready to kick off the 2025 season here. And gentlemen, appreciate it, and coming along here to be able to give some SSA the love here and everything. And I'm going to start with Gage because I have known Gage for a very long time and everything. Gage, what is up with everything with this season? Because I know that the Sunshine State Athletic Association is growing, and then Zach, I know Zach just joined y'all recently here and everything. So just kind of give us an insight of what to expect this year with the SSAA.
Yeah, well, first of all, appreciate you having me. I know like you said, we talk weekly, if not daily, and just from an SSA perspective, I appreciate everything you do, giving our teams coverage. But yeah, we're excited. As you've hit on it a couple times, we've grown our playoffs. We've extended the brackets for 11-man, 8-man, and Atlantic. As your association gets stronger, more teams deserve that opportunity to play in that state championship bracket extra week. So 8-man, Atlantic, and 11-man will all extend to 16. So we're basically combining the top two brackets into one bracket, with Atlantic and 11-man being north and south. And then 8-man's different. They have districts, so you take the district winners. And then this year it'll be 10 wildcard teams. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, just there's 28 teams, top 16 make it, and then we'll have a 12-team bracket. We're trying to, especially with that 8-man, it eliminates some of the brackets. It gives, 8-man's only going to have two brackets. You either make the top or you make the second one. There's nothing else. So just, we're excited to see the growth. I was looking at this going in my 5th year. My first year I had 67 teams, and this year I have 97.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. And for you, Zach, you coming in and all this. I mean, for you, what is your what is the challenge for you? Because you're not just got to deal with football, you got other sports. Because obviously, if to give people some insight here about the SSAA, the SSAA started out as the Sunshine State Athletic Conference just with football, but now over the years it's grown to more than just football. It's a bunch of which sports that you would see, like a lot of the standard sports that you would see in high school athletics. A lot of these schools play in the SSAA now.
Yeah, it's honestly coming in, been here since July 1st. The biggest thing is learning the system of the SSAA, right? Being a previous athletic director who was participating in the SSAA, you need to know the bare minimum, and you care about your team. Now I got to care about, over 100 different schools and working with Gage and football and learning the new systems and things like that. The positive thing is I was on the board of directors prior to taking this position, so that was helpful. But it's like drinking water from a fire hydrant, if you will, for this first month. And
wow.
I think Gage and I probably talk more than I talk to my wife and kids. So he's teaching me a lot right now.
Wow, no, that's impressive here. And, Chris, I know you probably got a question here because I know you've watched it as well, Chris. So you're just what the growth is, what the SSA has done here. And, again, as Gage said, 97 football teams, that's quite, I mean, in one point and another, I can point this out. All these teams at one point played in the FHA. So that's what's incredible about this.
Yeah, the question I've got is, what kind of communication do you guys have with the FSAA on a regular basis with teams that are looking to go independent or join the Sunshine State Athletic Association? What goes into that process and building your athletic conference?
Yeah, for me, I speak with Mr. Damon. We have our conversations. We have a solid working relationship. Like I said, I've been in for this is going to my 5th season. We don't call schools. We wait for them. We want schools that want to be here. We're not trying to compete against the FHSA. We're not trying to take teams that they want. We just want to be an association that allows opportunities, and we're there for schools that are like-minded, and like-minded doesn't mean that that we're playing on the same level playing field. We handle recruiting as hard as we can. But working that relationship, we're not trying to compete against them. I don't want to compete against them. I talk to Craig and Robbie. My school that I'm an athletic director, we're in the FHSA. We just want to have an alternative for these teams, and what we're doing is working. As we've seen with these. With football, unlike the other sports, you have to get out of FHSA because we offer a playoff. For all of our other sports in the SSA, you can do both. So like our baseball tournament's 2 weeks before district. So 99% of my baseball schools that I run for SSA, they'll play in the SSA tournament, and then they'll go play in the FHSA districts. We're just trying to create an alternative. We've seen a lot of success. We've seen a lot of teams that have kind of built their program and reestablished it. So for my mind, and like I said, I've ran the football. I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm not trying to steal teams from them. I just want to, at the end of the day, as an association in the state of Florida, we're here for the kids and we're here for the coaches. So.
No, absolutely. And I think you've seen that where, some teams that have come to y'all and then they go back to the FHA. So it's not like you're saying, hey, you're saying, hey, you got to stay with us. It's like, hey, if you need that rebuild, hey, we welcome you here, but hey, you're ready to go back, hey, there's that freedom. And I think that's what's cool about this for y'all is that, I can point out, like Oasis was last couple of years and now they're back in the FHA. So that's a good example. Orlando Christian Prep was another one as well.
Right. And with us, like our numbers, so, all the schools have to be 800 or less. So we don't break them up in districts. They're all playing on the same level playing field. Playoffs are different. So we may have a team that only has 200 enrollment and we have somebody that's 799. They all fit. As long as you're an 800 private or chartered school, you can be an 11-man. And that's why we created the Atlantic, because we had larger private charter schools and we had the public schools that wanted an alternative. So we created the Atlantic with 4 teams and now we're at 20.
And that's impressive, the Atlantic side, because you watch it. The first year, the first year I'm gonna go back to that Atlantic League, which I want to say was what 3 years ago. The 4 teams: Interlochen, Paxton, Staten, and Cocoa Beach. Those were the 4, and now you look at it, and it's like 3 of those 4 are still in there. Yep. But it's just growing, and you didn't see Frostproof, come out of it. Frostproof, and it's interesting. Frostproof, they have a lot of history, but they can't. Here they are. They found that this might be a better situation for them because where they were being put at, they were just like borderline between rural and being in the midst of all the schools that hey, they're limited to how many kids they can have because they're still in the middle of rural Polk County.
And like you said, we don't make them commit to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Because we don't want to hold them and say, well, now you got to play with. As you're in, you got to play with. No, that's not. That's. If it fits for you 1 year and it doesn't, we saw it with Sebastian River. No hard feelings. They came over and played in the Atlantic, won a title, and went back to FHSA. That was what they thought was best for their school. We'll tip our hats and said, appreciate you being here for a year.
No, absolutely.
We also see schools come to the SSAA, leave and go to the FHSA, and then come right back to us. So we have seen that happen, especially in the Jacksonville area as well.
No, absolutely. And by the way, I want to ask you, Zach. Since you talk about you're learning a lot from Gage, but for you personally, what are you hoping to accomplish in this first year in your role with the association? Because I know everybody's going to have their own goals, what they want to do.
Yeah, I think the overall big picture for myself and the SSA is growth. We want to see this thing continue to grow. We want to see some things continue to change in the state of Florida, and to give the small schools an opportunity. I think the SSA has done a phenomenal job over the last several years of building and maintaining. But I would love to see this thing continue to build and develop into something that's a potential powerhouse association in the state of Florida.
No, absolutely. And, looking at this there and, talk about, for y'all, but both of us, for the teams being able to start, playing the games that count on their schedule, in week 0, because, it used to be that, hey, everybody, used to be lined up with the, in terms of the scheduling. It used to be, hey, okay, you had the kickoff classic, you played like about 8 games for regular season, and y'all started playoffs when regular season was still kind of going on because of the way things were going. But that kind of shifted last year, with the change and everything. So just kind of explain all of that for people to understand what why things start this week versus next week.
Yeah, so when I started, we did the kickoff classic and we did weeks 1 through 9. Week 10 was the playoffs, because they had to be done. They had to be finished with the playoffs at a certain time, because then you hit bowl week. Our teams were really wanting 10 games. So we're like, how can we fit 10 games in without destroying our small schools soccer and basketball programs at the further you go in the program? So we're like, hey, we're already playing a kickoff classic. Let's just count it. So with now our teams are not constrained by that schedule, as they're not independent. So 0 through 10 is our regular season. We can extend our playoffs. So we're still finished before Thanksgiving. So the main purpose behind it was to listen to our coaches that wanted 10 games, but also listen to our athletic directors who didn't want the point guard of the basketball team not to show up until the team's already ready to rock and roll. Same with the soccer, because at small schools, the majority of them, the point guard, the running back, and it's probably the same person.
Absolutely.
We wanted to give them 10 games, but not destroy 2 seasons. So we're still, you are correct, Friday and Saturday before Thanksgiving at the Villages again this year.
No, absolutely, and it's a wonderful facility down there, and down there at the Villages, and at the new campus. And Chris, you got any final questions for our guest here?
Not particularly. I'm looking forward to seeing how the season shapes up, especially for the sometimes state athletics. So good luck to you guys.
Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate that, guys, for y'all coming on here. By the way, Emery Smith chimed in, and he's been one of our loyal followers here on our shows here over the years and stuff. What you just mentioned about Hardy, coming into the Atlantic League, and they were one of the founding members of the FHA in the 1920s. So it's kind of interesting how the times have changed. It's not necessarily what was good for them 10 years ago. What they need now is what y'all provide the platform that they need right in this particular moment.
For sure. And that's what we try to, with our 8-man league, Atlantic League, we're just trying to offer what schools need to be able to provide football for their student athletes.
No, absolutely. And again, I appreciate y'all taking a few minutes to join us here. I know that the season's getting going, and we'll definitely be keeping in touch and everything, and following what the SSA does here, and of course across the 11-man, 8-man, and the Atlantic Leagues this season.
Appreciate it, Josh.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
you guys.
No, thank you. Y'all have a great night. Appreciate that. And that was Zachary, Shank, and Gage Brown from the Sunshine State Athletic Association. And honestly, Chris, there's a lot we're gonna see happen there with the SSA this year.
Yeah, a great conference with a bright future ahead of itself. It's going to be great for the next few years, and see how they continue to develop over with more sports and more football.
No, absolutely. And that'll be fun to watch here, especially with, as you said, 97 football programs across the 3 different leagues, 11-man, 8-man, and the Atlantic League. And we're going to see that as it unfolds here starting this week in week 0, the games that count. By the way, We'll talk some fan questions here, fan comments if we come back on the other side of the break, and then we have pick six, which all three games are SSA games that we're going to be picking on in the North Central Florida Blitz because we only have three that we're going to pick on this week, and then we got one in the Panhandle as well. But we'll be back here after about 2-minute timeout here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz. We'll be right back right after this.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Juggled and caught.
All right, welcome back here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here. Josh Wilson here along with Christopher Like here. And I don't know. Can you hear me, Chris? Chris has no audio. Chris, you might want to check the audio settings in your on your side. Check in the gearbox and make sure the audio is there. I think we've kind of lost Chris there for a moment. Chris, can you hear us? I think he has lost us on audio. But I can hear Chris here. Chris is there. I can hear him. But we'll get that here situated here in a moment. I may have to message him and let him go click the gearbox. Yeah, trying to tell him to click the gearbox on your end. Hey, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying. Sorry about this. He's. You may have to log back out and come back in, Chris, on this. We'll have to see what has happened here. We do not understand what's going on. He has lost audio during the break here. But we'll go right here into the fan comments because we do have a lot of fan comments here sitting in the box tonight here. And great interview and excited for that conference with the leadership in place here. And, of course, Emery Smith is in there. Ellis Hall, he says, welcome back. And I see my guy, Hagan Scott from Vertical Rays. He said, thanks for all the coverage, Josh. You're the man. Schools and players are lucky to have you. And I appreciate that. And he wants to take Coach Farmer in the Knights here in the kickoff classic. Oh, man. That is going to be a close one here along the way here. We're trying to see if we can get Chris's audio back. And all of a sudden, he lost audio here. I can hear him across. He got the microphone, but the audio is out. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Trying to figure out here as we see what's going on here, why he all of a sudden lost audio. Apologize for everybody. It's like, I've still got the audio here. Everybody can hear me, but he cannot hear us for some reason or another. So Who is my? There we go. There we go. Hey, and it's on Facebook. Yeah, because the comments are popping up there. Who is my sleeper team in North Central Florida? Ooh, man, that is a good question as we figure this out here with Chris's audio here. Because that way we can do the picks here in a moment. Here, hopefully we can get that going here in a moment. But my sleeper pick. Ooh, that is a good question. Yeah, I think Columbia stands a chance to be a sleeper pick because as they open, they pull, if they can get some wins, pull off a big win along the regular season and prove that record here. I think they could really make some noise, but they'll have to go through St. Augustine in order to get through that region. But maybe Williston is another one. Williston was sitting there close in the state semifinals last year in rural, and I think maybe hopefully they can get through there. Would be good to see that in the season that Robbie Pruitt becomes that first head coach in 2 different states to have 200 wins. Maybe that might be a state championship type team. Who does Santa Fe open with? Ellis Hall. He's asking, they're going to play GHS tomorrow night in the kickoff classic at home. And then I want to say, gosh, I don't have all the schedules right up in front of me. I have everything plugged in for the schedules, but I'll have to go back and look and get that information on who's up. We'll talk more about the week 1 openers and all that, but Chris still hasn't seen the audio. So let me see. I might have to try to tell him to come out and go in. Charles Jackson sitting there, let go Union County Tigers. Union County will be out at, they'll be over at making the trip over the Port St. Joe here. Chris is going to kind of come out and then come back in. Come out of the whole studio. Oh, wait. Santa Fe, you know what? Well, we got a moment here while we're trying to hopefully get Chris back on with the audio here because I don't know. Lake Butler could go except for playing Madison. Well, Union County, yeah, that hey, you have to deal with Madison County along the way here, and that is the big thing as we look at that. But let me pull up Santa Fe's schedule here. Let me see if I can open that up here as we do this here for a moment here. Let me go pull it. I've got it saved. Let's see what we got here. On. Oh. Yeah. Zarephath Academy, I think probably is what it is. I want to say that. That's who. Oh, okay. Yep, it is Zarephath Academy. Yeah. So I was trying to pull up the schedule here and decided. So Newberry Eastside, that's going to be a really good one too in terms of the kickoff classics. I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. But Chris, sorry about this. We're trying to see what he just trying to get him to leave the studio and then come back in. See if we can get in here, but we're gonna have to roll the pick 6 here. I've got his pick, so we go ahead and roll the pick 6 here. We're gonna have to go ahead and do that as we got only so much time left here. I don't know if we've got him back yet. I don't know if he can hear the audio or not. Oh, let me see, Chris. Nope. You're going to have to mute. The mic is muted on your side, Chris. You're going to have to unmute it on your end. I can't unmute your mic, Chris. There we go. And then unmute your mic on your other mic because I can't hear you. There we go. Okay. We get the audio back?
Yep.
What happened?
Technology.
No. It just wasn't taken, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and do this real quick on our pick six here because we only have 3 games here as we roll into it. The first game is up. It's Bell at Ocala here. Bulldogs and the Eagles going at it here. Eagles, RJ Fears back as head coach after a 1-year hiatus after being assistant at Union County last year. The Bulldogs looked really good last year, and the Eagles are going to be very young this year. They do have a couple key players back, but I'm just kind of not sure I'm just not sure about Ocala right there in this instance. And so we bring up the FPRI line and win probabilities. Bell is a 15-point favorite over Ocala, giving Bell a 91% chance to win this game. My man, Chris, what are you thinking?
I like Bell, but Ocala, a good program, but I like Bell more than I do Ocala this game.
Well, I'm going with the Bulldogs as well. They got a really good running back, and he's going to be going off again this year, and I think that's going to be a key factor in this game here. And all of us, including our guy Reno, who's on the chat, by the way, because I saw him pop in.
Come on, Reno, come back in here.
His schedule's kind of hectic these days, but we see him, and his pick is for the Bell Bulldogs. And Zachary Hallback is saying Ocala 35, Bell 24, final score of the classical game. So we got some picks coming up against us here. We'll have to see. Reno is saying, let's go. All right. Let's go indeed. As you see that week 0 schedule coming up across the ticker there for the SSAA. All right. Our next game on the picks here as we go along here. How about this? Bronson at Old Plank Christian. The Eagles are looking to really try to kind of get something going here, but going up against the Defenders here in their second year of 11-man football. Bronson, Sean Holmes, got to really give them credit. They're really trying to build something there, but it's taking some time. Hopefully the off-season program has helped. We're going to find out come Friday night as the Eagles go up to Jacksonville to take on the Defenders. Chris, what are you thinking here as we pull up the line?
I like Old Plank Christian. They're just too good. They've been a solid program over the last few years. Old Plank.
I'm rolling with Old Plank. As Reno says, Plank. As we pull up the picks here, I'm going Old Plank. Chris is going Old Plank, and Reno is going Old Plank. But Zachary Hallback is like, "Hey, I'm going Bronson." So I think you know what it is. I love it. He's going against every pick that we got. We'll see if we come back and see what kind of picks we have here later on as we go. And we'll be keeping a tally here during the entire season here as we make our picks here across all of the Blitz shows here on FortHSFootball.com. All right, let's roll into our final pick here. It is Hardy at Lake Weir. I know our guy Emery Smith has been waiting for this pick because we didn't do it last night. So he was hoping maybe tonight we would have it, and here we are, Hardy at Lake Weir. And Chris, as we pull up the line here, how do you feel about this one?
You know, I hate to do this to you, but Lake Weir are going to win this game.
Ooh, okay. Emery Smith, you have one pick against you on this one, but I have to say I'm the second pick that's going against Hardy in this one. But Emery will actually be okay with this because I know this because me and Emery have talked about the expectations of Hardy. A lot of that roster it's going to be 80%. It's going to be 80% sophomores and freshmen there. So honestly, I feel like that's going to be the biggest key factor is can they mature quickly? We'll see what happens. But our picks, I'm going Lake Weir, Chris is going Lake Weir, and our guy Reno is going Hardy. So we do have an opposite pick here in this situation here. And I'm interested to see what's happened. Zachary Hallbike is going with Hardy. I missed those Hardy burger. Oh, Rito's in the chat. Rito's in the chat. All right. Well, that's it.
Well, if you go about a few hundred miles, you could get a Carl's Jr. So.
A Carl's Jr. Not too many Hardys these days. Not too many, but yeah. All right. Well, as we wrap it up here, Chris, any final thoughts?
Yeah, great interview with Sunshine State Athletic Association. Hope it'll be great to see what they do.
No, absolutely. And, of course, Ellis Hall says Santa Fe with another team with an ex-Gator coach. Yes, Ernest Graham starting out this year. And he's like, he also said if Bradford rolls Cocoa, they could be stout. That's really is it. Henry Smith says there's no Hardys in Hardy County. We only have Publix. Oh, man. Wow. All right, everybody. We definitely appreciate y'all watching here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here. We'll be back for our final show this week, the Panhandle Blitz. And joining us on the Panhandle Blitz edition of the Blitz is John Cooper, the head coach at Franklin County. Another team that is in the Sunshine State Athletic Association joining the Atlantic League this year. Obviously, Hanging Sock says, thanks, guys. Can't wait for Friday Night Lights. Here we go. All right. We'll see you here in just a few minutes for the Panhandle edition of the Blitz. We'll be right back right after this.